And then diversification, of course, outside of equity or property or whatever it is. You can look at the art market. I think it was Mark Ingham again that mentioned classic cars. What about sports betting? Maybe that should be a very small part of your portfolio. And if you had backed Australia to be 3-2 up against the Netherlands, you would correct score. You would have probably got around about 35-40 to 1, I think it is. It's all to do with gambling. In the studio with me now is Leomelia Du Toit, who is from the Western Cape Racing and Gambling Board. How big is sports betting in this country, Leomelia? It's grown, obviously. I've seen lots of entrants into the market.
Yes, over the past 2 years, gambling has grown, especially on sports betting. Horse racing, as you know, were popular in South Africa, but gambling over the past, or sports betting over the past 2 years, has definitely overtaken the horse racing industry. But
there's a company called Primalelo which is listed on the JSE Securities Exchange, which has most of its business, I think, outside of South Africa, because it takes business. It has a facility where you can, for example, bet on Royal Ascot, which is on at the moment in the United Kingdom. So horse racing is still very important, I think.
Horse racing is very important in South Africa, especially for development and growth and employment and those types of things. However, I think the racing industry globally is declining.
Yes.
So it's not unique to South Africa.
Is it declining because of the number of people that go to horse races, for example, or is it growing as a betting medium? I noticed that the people that have just redeveloped Ascot in the United Kingdom, one of the most prestigious horse racing courses, they've been losing money, but they're projected to make some money this year. But on the other hand, betting is increasing. Is there a sort of decoupling between the two concepts?
I think maybe what's also happening in the, currently is basically you find more online participants or people betting online instead of attending the races. So there is a slight decline in the attendance of races. But then also especially with horse racing, you'll find that the customer is basically it's the age group is older people, and there's not new generation, entering into the market. And
so you've got that person with a packet of cigarettes and goes and sits at the shop in the afternoon, has 20 rand on this race and 20 rand on the other. The market can't shake that off. What about sports betting now? As I was talking about Australia versus the Netherlands, with 3 minutes to go, it's Australia 2, Netherlands 3. The World Cup is a bonanza for people like, for example, PaddyPower.com in Europe, a listed entity. In South Africa, if you want to have a bet on the World Cup, where do you go? What do you do?
Well, I would think it's very important for the customers to ensure that they bet with a licensed operator. Normally it's very easy to find out. You've got quite a few online operators that you could approach. I wouldn't like to single out any, but there's quite a few. Also, if you go onto the various provincial licensing authority websites, you'll be able to find who the licensed operators are. And I think it's a very competitive market. There's quite a few interesting players out in the market, and so anytime, just I believe Google.
Does it bring in revenue for the country? Does the taxman say, right, this is a business that is growing, therefore I'm going to take my chunk of it? What's the situation with tax?
Gambling is a great contributor towards government income, and basically if you look at it, for argument's sake, gambling turnover, if you take the betting portion of it, betting contributes about 7% of the gambling turnover, and in taxes approximately 14%. So that's a huge chunk that is contributed towards.
It's a growing industry, isn't it?
Definitely, and as I mentioned earlier on, sports betting is definitely growing.
Even outside of the World Cup, it'll go quiet obviously after that, but you can bet on the Springboks, you can bet on anything you like, I would imagine, if you get the right company.
No, most definitely. Most of the operators do offer all types of sports, from rugby to soccer to football to you name it, and it's available on the sites for you to take a bet on.
Very itchy fingers now suddenly. I just want to suddenly go online and have a bet on England versus Uruguay tomorrow night. Of course, England will win. Leomelia, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's Leomelia Du Toit, who's from the Western Cape Racing and Gambling Board.